your name spelled right?
Welcome to God's Way, YTVY. I'm Adolphina Shephard, and this is my co-host Thomas Nice Templar.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, sis. Welcome back, Mary. Welcome back, Mehernaz.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Carter. Go ahead.
Oh, Tommy.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny. Well, anyway, we have a great show lined up for you today. We have two fantastic astrologers here who have done some homework for us to tell us what's coming forth this coming year. And I don't know about you, but I had a terrible 2018, so I'm glad it's over and we're on a new path now. So let's turn it over first to Mary Silvernail, and she could tell us a little bit about herself because she's been missing for a year or maybe longer.
Yeah. Close to two.
Yeah.
Close to 2 years, yeah. The last time I was on the show was May the 12th, 2017, when the show had stopped. Remember that?
First time in the history of the station where everything shut down.
Right.
Electronics had a heart attack.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, anyway, so I'm Mary Silvernail, and I'm a master astrologer. I write the horoscope column for newspapers and magazines. And also I write angel columns for newspapers and magazines. And I'm a medium and psychic. I'm also a hypnotist and a shaman. So I do a lot of different things.
You know, isn't that something how we all seem to wear so many hats?
Well, it's all into one, right?
I mean, it is. It's kind of like that big pie, and then it's a piece of the section that you do this.
Yeah.
I had one of the people that I was talking to not long ago, and she says, I don't know what to do, you know, about, and I says, well, I mean, hey, I do a dozen things.
Exactly.
You know, you can't just say you're going to do one thing when you're in this realm.
And in between everything that she does, she still finds time to bake brownies for the kids.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Is that true? You didn't bring no brownies.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, they have to be gluten-free anyway.
That's what I eat, gluten-free too.
Okay.
So we're fine.
Okay. Yay. So let's turn it over to Mehernaz. Right? Is that right? Because I have trouble saying that.
Is that close enough?
Okay. It is close,
I'm glad you screwed it up, not me this time.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mehernaz. I work with astrology, numerology, human design, and a lot of these modalities, but of course the end goal is healing. So like, you know, you said, it all really ties in together, but for me it's more about when someone finds their life purpose through all these modalities, and you know, the spark you see in their eyes, and it's like, you know, so
something gets turned on.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I know that I want to do a show with you with just the human design, because it's going to be a long time, and I mean, I don't know if we should even have anybody else on as another topic.
Yeah, that's a long subject.
That's in depth, and it was a very interesting aspect of it, because I've had it done several times. So we're going to have to put that
you
together.
Still didn't figure it out?
Believe me, it's a lifetime of knowledge. You know what I mean? It's not a little tiny inch of things.
Yes, it really is so complex.
I know.
Cannot stop reading.
You know, I started to do the bio on that. I was through about 15 minutes of it. I'm saying to myself, yeah, okay, this next. You know, the reading was so in depth. You know, it was like, I'll give you credit for that.
Well, no, you know, when the human design, just like the astrological thing, the person who's done it is going to synopsize it for you, because you can't learn it in an hour. This is a study of a lifetime. It's really an art. When you say it's really an art.
Yes, well, I feel that astrology is an art and a science.
I do too.
And I've been an astrologer my whole life. I grew up with it. So, you know, to me, it's you never learn everything. My father was very much into astrology, and also one of my sisters, she was a wonderful astrologer, and then I have another sister, a numerologist. What?
I just wondered where you picked it up.
Yeah, no, in my family, in my family. So this has been something.
Do any of it?
Oh yeah, my mother was interested in it, but my father was more of a mentor to me, right?
Okay.
Well, you know, years ago, are you all right? Somebody
just
stabbed you?
Leave me alone already. You've been killing me all week.
You know, years ago, Father God told me that astrology were his numbers. In other words, it's
Right.
mathematical. It's mathematical. The whole
Absolutely.
universe is mathematical, and everything is timed to astrology. And that's the thing people don't get.
So you're
you
telling
know?
me that
I
God's a
agree.
big bookie up there running bets and everything?
That's right.
Okay.
No, but it's really true, because as an astrologer, I mean, before we had computers, years ago,
You have to do
originally,
charts by hand and-
by hand, it would take at least a half an hour, and that's for an astrologer who is really schooled in it, because there were so many books. You have to look at the longitude, the latitude, and all the timings and everything of. So, I mean, it's really in depth. So it used to take a half an hour just to put together somebody's astrological chart. Now you can just pop it in a computer, boom, you
Thank
got
God
it.
for that.
Yeah,
So
thank
you
God
can
for that
focus
is
on
right.
the art part of
Thank
it, right?
God.
Now,
thank God.
your astrological training, so to speak, was that a family thing too?
My family wasn't into it, but growing up in India, we have a huge influence of astrology in general. It's very mainstream, it's on TV, the forecast is out every day, because Vedic astrology, which is derived after the Vedas, was like this ancient chronicle book, and that is mostly the astrology practiced in India. Although I schooled myself in Western astrology, but like that influence was always there, where it was so mainstream. It wasn't something that was
grew up with it,
considered
so part of
airy-fairy. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
considered very much mainstream. People would go to an astrologer before anything big, before buying an apartment, before getting married. Everything would go through
For the timing, to try to find the right timing
the right
to do
timing,
it.
even the right partners alignment. Like I would see, like you know, people would like not marry because the astrologer said, you know, like it was huge. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm an esoteric astrologer, but I practice Greek astrology, and that's what, but although I have to tell you that I have some Indian clients. Yes, I do. That come to me, even though you know the type of astrology that you also do. But I'm not schooled in any kind of the Vedic astrology. But it's really basically the same thing. But you're looking at a lot more planets. Well, we don't want to say planets, but more of the asteroids and
Star
everything
systems,
like that. Right. And so,
Vedic?
yeah,
Did I get that right?
Vedic.
Vedic, V-E-D-I-C.
Vedic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Which also is Hindu astrology, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, some people call it that. Yeah.
It's kind of like very synonymous. It's almost like a part of the religion, because the Vedas
Right.
was the ancient book from which stuff was derived. So
Right, but I'm also esoteric, which is the soul. So when I'm looking at an astrological chart, I'm really looking at the person's
The soul map, yes.
Right, the soul map,
Yeah,
exactly, of their previous lives also, and what's coming up in the future, and the current life, and everything. So yeah, we're on the same page.
totally.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
The archetype is so important. It's like when they realize, oh, this is who I am, but I haven't been doing that. I've been struggling upstream and completely putting up a different. It's about being authentic with yourself, right? And
Yes.
that's what it affirms, whether you're on track or you're off track. And
Yes, but it truly is a science.
it really
Truly is a science, and extremely accurate. I mean, I'm sure that you also, and this is not, please, this is not my ego talking in any way or anything like that, but it's the truth. I mean, and I'm sure you have, that I've predicted births, weddings. One thing though that, and I don't know how you feel about this, but one thing, it's golden, you do not predict death. You
Yes.
absolutely do not predict death, because you do not want to send that out there. Correct? You and I are in
completely
agreement? Because
agree with
anything
that.
that you send out there, it
empower
could, you
Once
empower
Once you
Empower.
empower it, you
Yeah.
own it.
I
Right.
completely agree with that.
And-
as accurate and as specific astrology
and you
is,
could predict, and
but
believe me.
you just do not want to put that manifestation out there.
Or any of the negative things. I mean, sometimes as an astrologer, you can't help but see some negative things coming up for a person. But because of free will and because of everything else going on out there in the universe and the other people that are involved in it, it could completely change. So why put out there anything negative? unfortunately, I have heard stories, you know, from other clients and other people and even friends that they've gone to readers that would put something out there very negative, and then, you know, it could happen to the person. I don't believe in that. And I can tell from the energy, our connection here, I can just feel you have beautiful energy, and I feel very strongly. I really like her. I can feel that you just are not someone who does something like that.
No, absolutely, because I truly believe in that whole aspect of free will and the power of manifestation, and especially growing up in India, because I have to admit that there were times when I would see certain astrologers who would, you know, just because they want the client to come back for giving them remedies, they would put in that fear that, oh, so this planet is too weak, so you're, you know, going to have a hard time with your marriage and you need to do this. So I understand there's the remedial aspect, but then how you put it across to them, because there is always that free will, the chance to manifest, and you do not. Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? I've had charts done all my life, and it's only recently I found out that I've actually been dead 6 times in this life. Yep, Jesus brought me back 3 times, Archangel Michael brought me back twice, and Horus brought me back once. And I'm like, okay, I never saw anything in there in the charts. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I've never seen that, but it did happen. It obviously wasn't preordained. It was just the way it happened in various things that occurred.
Very lucky to dodge the bullet when you did.
Hey, you know what? Maybe I have 9 lives like a cat. Maybe I have 20 lives.
I think more.
Yeah,
I think more, Adolphina. Knowing you, I think more. The beautiful light you carry.
Oh, thank you, dear.
Seriously.
Thank you.
That's ever ready. That's the battery. We put it in her back, and she just goes.
Yeah. Those batteries need to be replaced regularly too, let me tell you. And that's the truth. I'm not making that up.
Can I bring up something in reference to what you had said, Adolphina, in reference to the numbers, and that the universe is all numbers, and it's so true. Because, you know, with astrology and numerology, the numbers are tremendous, and I have such a respect for that, and the two really commingle, the numerology and the astrology.
Oh, yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Well,
a lot of people don't understand that or realize that.
Well, I know. Well,
it's a vibration. It's the vibration.
That's true too. Now think about everything is made from pi, right?
Yes.
And it's the flower of life, right? Now that's mathematical, and it's in every single aspect of life. And yet people don't realize everything is mathematical.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so when you look at the planets and asteroids and comets and so forth, I know that. Like comets bring change, I think it is, right?
Oh,
and asteroids bring, I forget what. But I mean, I'm not an astrologer, but I follow some good astrologers. And so, you know, and so I find it fascinating, because having learned that, you know, you can't poo-poo this. It's not nonsense like some people think it is.
No, and if you remember, and actually Brian brought it up to me when I was in the control room with him before, when we were getting ready for the show, he remembered that I had predicted that Donald Trump was going to be president on your show.
Yeah, way before.
Way before, because I was cornered into, well, who do you think? And then finally, okay, you know. But so that shows how. Seriously, how absolutely, and that was all astrological.
You know what? We need to, I saw you did his chart again. I can't wait to see it.
Well, only because of what's happening right now. I mean, only because of what's happening right now with the government shutdown and what I see coming up. And I also have a chart that I brought for the United States.
You want the graphic up?
Okay, I mean, if you want to.
Which graph do you want up?
Well, we could talk about the United States.
Put up the United States, Brian.
Yeah, and we'll see what comes up.
Okay.
Got to make it bigger than that, though.
Enlarge it, please.
So I'm going to, at the same time, look
if you can't, maybe.
on my iPad so that I can see what I had given Brian to to put up, so it makes it easier for me to discuss. Okay, but what it is, that is the astrological chart of the United States at the 8 o'clock hour on January the 18th in Staten, in Washington, D.C., actually. What's happening is that there's a Pluto return, and so I'm sure you're very aware of this also, and this is major because that only happens once every 248 years. And what we're dealing with, I actually had some notes on this. I didn't expect to be talking about this yet, but that's okay. In reference to the Pluto return, okay, in 2020, Pluto return, that's the biggest of all planetary returns in any chart, any astrological chart. And it won't be exact until 2022. But what's going to happen is it's a real start anew. Humanity as a whole is evolving, and we need systems of meaning like astrology, and this is all part of what we're talking about tonight, and the sciences, because the dependence on news media is proving to hinder rather than help.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
what we're talking about here, though, with this Pluto return is huge. Right now, what we're doing, and you could take down that chart if you want to, now, Brian. Okay. Thank you, Brian. What we're talking about is really, really huge. The majority of people don't have a Pluto return because we have a chart of the United States, and you can have a chart of anything, of any country. You could have a chart of this table from when it was built. Okay, you could have a chart of anything. But most people do not ever experience a Pluto return. We experience things like Saturn returns, and what that means is that Pluto is returning to the original place in the natal chart for the United States of America. And that is a huge shakeup. That's why we're experiencing all this stuff. And actually, you know, we've also been dealing with the fact that the planet Saturn, which is it's the building up again after what Pluto is knocking down. So they're together up in the heavens right now. So we're experiencing this in our lives as individuals, but as far as the United States of America, that's why we're having this huge power play that's happening right now with the government shutdown. It's really important to understand this, because after 2022, then you're going to see that it has subsided. But we're going to be dealing with this situation of things getting knocked down only to then be rebuilt, but ultimately at the other end of it, it comes out even better than ever.
Well, that's what's
okay. I mean, this is what's going on.
I mean, I know that that's what's going on, and to
a lot of people don't understand that.
Astrologically blows me away.
Exactly.
Because I understand that behind the scenes with the government shutdown, people are being arrested and being charged and this and that, and it's kind of like a cover for that. Like this shutdown's supposed to be for the wall and this and that. That's all baloney. And so that's what I see happening. And in fact, I read something today about 3 more Rothschild things happened. All the dark cabal, or the Illuminati, or the bad guys, I like to call them, whoever they are.
Khazarian Mafia.
Yeah, they are being taken down systematically.
That's Pluto.
Yeah.
Pluto. That's what Pluto is, the dark planet. Right. Saturn also, now what we're talking about, because a lot of us are experiencing different things in our lives that we can't understand why we've gotten knocked out. Well, look at you and I both had our, issue with our feet.
Yeah.
I know. Anyway,
it's over. It's 2019.
Anyway, it's done. It's over with. Goodbye, 2018. But what's happening is Saturn and Pluto traveling along in the heavens together. And by the time that they conjunct And by the time that means that they come together completely, we're already feeling the effects, but what's going to happen is there's going to be a tremendous amount of power. What we're dealing with, even what we've been dealing with this last, on January the 6th, this last eclipse, that was us taking back our power. I don't know if you saw that on my Facebook page, but that was about finding your power. You're in agreement with me.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was.
I'm getting a big chill test on
this
that.
is, so I'm getting a chill on it too. But by 2020, what's going to be happening is we will have our power back. The problem is that within the United States, we're still going to be dealing with issues until 2022, and it has passed. And that's all there is to it. But yeah, and a lot of this is karmic. A lot, when, you know, and people throw around the word karma so easily, but a lot of this is truly karmic.
It's the law of return.
And when Saturn
Cause
comes
and
into
effect,
play,
yeah.
That Saturn, that is
That's
karma.
karmic.
So what do you think of all of
karma.
that?
Oh, I absolutely agree, because Pluto is the energy of completions, endings, like death and resurrection, and it's never easy, but I almost feel like you
So who
have
do
to
you
go
say was
through that.
Pluto and Jupiter?
No, Pluto and Saturn.
Pluto and Saturn.
Pluto and Saturn right now are riding along together, and
How long have you been dating?
oh my goodness, they've been dating for a while.
So
That's
Pluto,
But I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you, Saturn is going to be conjunct Pluto all of 2019, and that's transformation. And the effects, especially for anyone who, anyone astute in astrology out there that's between 11 and 23 degrees, Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, okay, their sun sign, or wherever it falls in their astrological chart, and I'm going to ask Brian in a moment to put up the different houses so I can explain that. But what it is, you're going to see that a lot of people are purging from their life whatever is toxic, destructive. Okay, you're letting go of things, and but all the signs, every sign is going to be experiencing transformation, and it all depends on what house it falls in, because each house is a different area of your life. And if it's okay, I'd like to ask Brian if he could put up the houses. Okay, what that is, that's in an astrological chart. When you hear an astrologer talking about the different houses, there's 12 houses. The first house, as you could see, is the physical body. The second house has to do with mostly money. Third house, you know, and so on and so forth. Well, depending on where these planets fall in your astrological chart is the area of your life, because each house is a different area of your life, and dependent upon where it falls is where it's going to be affecting you in your life, where things will be transformed, knocked down, and then rebuilt. Like the fourth house is family and your home. The fifth house is your children and creativity. It's also the house of love. So what's happening is, if you have a professional astrologer actually do your astrological chart, they can tell you exactly where these things will be happening in your life and help prepare you. And that's why people come to professional astrologers as us. And you could take it down now, Brian, if you would be kind enough. Thank you so much. But that's all the houses, and that's why when you hear someone talking about the degree of the house or where it's falling in your chart, that's what we're really talking about.
Now, you looked at something of mine. You were talking about the 12th house, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
happening.
You have a whole alignment of planets, including Saturn and Pluto. I mean, it's okay for me to discuss.
Sure.
This is personal for you. Yeah. But in your 12th house, the 12th house is the deep inner workings of the mind. It also has a lot to do with tremendous karma. We're in agreement, correct?
absolutely.
Okay.
And I was told I had 5 lifetimes of good karma coming in this life.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you something. Not everybody has Pluto go through their 12th house.
Really?
No, because it takes 248 years to
Huge
go
orbit.
all the way around your chart.
Yeah.
Whereas like Jupiter, that only takes 12 to 13 years. You see, the sun takes 1 year to go through all those houses. But who's going to be living their life 240? So every human being, that's what I'm saying, every human being doesn't get these aspects. And I shared with you too, when we were discussing before the show, I have also had Saturn and Pluto going through my 12th house that have gone over my rising sign. You know, and whenever I
didn't even take you for a day over 90.
Whenever, but I mean, this is major stuff, because that goes to show how many lifetimes that you've had.
Yeah.
Because for you to be dealing with this kind of karmic energy and transformation, major transformation.
Oh yeah. And you saw some pictures that were pretty transforming too.
Oh my gosh.
Pluto,
you blew my mind.
That's heavy stuff.
You blew my mind, Adolphina.
So, but yeah, that is the Plutonian energy, and in a similar way, like she mentioned, that it comes once in a blue moon, you know, once more than a blue moon. But
248 years, I think it's a,
and that's why even what's happening in the country, it's that orbit. It doesn't come that often. It's a major alignment. It's a major shift, and Saturn. One, it's karmic, but Saturn is all about structure. So with Saturn and Pluto, that is the resurrection of the structures. And I'd like to add to that piece, the other major transit that's coming in is Uranus moved into Taurus.
Yes. And I'm Taurus, so tell me about that.
Me too.
Oh my God.
Yes. You have 3 Taurians at the table here with you. Okay. There we go, girl. Okay.
So tell us.
There's a lot of bull flying here.
No. Well, that's why we have major changes happening for us. It just recently left Aries, which went through a lot.
A lot of changes.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like Uranus was comfortable in Aries. So Uranus is this energy of sudden change, like lightning almost.
Oh,
and Aries, you know, is, I feel like the sun, the sky, you know, it's that it was comfortable in that sign, but now Uranus is coming into Taurus, which is this stable, you know, it's like
matador.
And you're trying to shift all that. So we're going to go through some major changes, but on the macro level, Taurus resembles the structures of money and finance, and we have, and that is changing. We have like cryptocurrency.
Okay.
But yeah, the way we're going to look at money and finance is going to go through a transition. You know, we have the whole cryptocurrency movement and all of this, you know, a lot of online banking and a lot of PayPal and Venmo all of this shift that's coming in the structure of.
Now, do you think, I recently was reading an article about get out of the dollar now, get out of money now. Do you see anything in the charts about this?
Well, with Uranus and Taurus, of course, that has to do with money, but it also has to do with a lot of inspiration. And what Uranus brings major change. However, Uranus also brings inspiration out of the blue that you could seriously, like the light bulb goes on. And so, I mean, it could be very, very good in reference to the market. So it all depends on where it's falling for you in your stores.
I mean, because when I talk about get out of money, like he was saying, like I didn't read the whole thing, but like for instance, maybe invest in coins or gold or silver or stock or something. You know what I mean? Because if there is a reset, it's going to equalize all the money. So
just take all that dirty money that you don't want, put it in a bag. I'll hold on to it for you.
Well, no, you just wash it, Tom, and put it in the dryer.
I have to tell you, I agree with you what you're saying, because what Uranus does, it's the means of new invention, and it's new things, right? So it's, you know, I feel that there's going to be tremendous changes in reference to anything to do with the financial markets, but I don't see it ultimately being a bad thing. That's really what
Well, I
I'm
mean-
saying.
Do I have
But it's
anything
going to be
good in all of this?
innovative. Oh, wait till you hear what I'm going to read in reference to your sign. Oh my
Oh.
goodness, you're the lucky one sitting at this
I
table.
feel like I should be wearing a
tell
leisure
you.
suit and
But-
saying to you, what's your sign, baby?
But
You know?
Oh, Tommy.
Tommy,
I just seen that lounge
And
lizard.
leisure suit.
well, is it okay for me to
Don't you
talk
remember
about
that
your
pale
sign?
blue one? You know?
Oh, my
All the
God.
lounge lizards, you don't remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
They
Unfortunately,
were
you're
good.
aging me here. Okay, I remember
Nothing
that.
like polyester
disco
stretches to keep
era.
on going.
Okay, the disco era. That's what you're referring
I
to.
love
right?
disco.
Let's get up and hustle.
But I didn't
Come on.
have one of them crappy suits.
You didn't?
No, not
But I
leisure
could
suits.
disco.
Not even
Yeah,
one.
well, I had the disco
Not even
dresses
one.
that went
I
flying
know.
I
around.
had
You too?
three-piece
Yeah,
suits.
let me tell you,
You know,
the hustle.
designer
No, they
suits.
don't. Oh yeah, the hustle.
Hustle.
You know they don't dance so cool today compared
I
to that. But I
know,
still,
I know.
I still want to learn the tango. I can't tango.
Oh, neither can I. I'm sorry.
It's a beautiful.
With your
it's so
feet?
beautiful.
Forget
It's a
about it.
beautiful dance, sexy dance,
really
don't you
is.
It
think?
is. You know, wear the rose and we can dip in and all that stuff.
Well, it's not the bachata, but it is still very beautiful.
Wait, it wasn't the what? The pachanga?
That is more of the sensual version, sorry.
Boy, this alignment of these stars here tonight.
Well, there's a
It
lot
must be
going
the
on.
estrogen going on this table.
Well-
I feel very, very minute here.
Well, without me going into detail, okay, but you have a lot of heavy-duty planets hitting your moon. Okay.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You really
Oh, that
Probably,
move.
I swear I did.
which has heightened your intuition and
You
your
told me I'm sitting
spiritual
on the intuition?
gifts. Huh?
My spiritual gifts?
No, I'm really serious.
Okay, I can see
Okay,
that.
I'm real serious.
The moon is your mind.
Are you getting that?
Yeah,
Your
I'm
emotion and your,
absolutely
but it's
getting
your it's your connection
All
to
right, you got me intrigued here. Go into your thing.
go into what?
Oh, about
He
me.
wants you to tell him about
Oh,
it.
about you. Well, I can't.
This
I
is
have
not
to
an
tell.
ego thing.
Okay.
Just stroke
All
by
right, we're
myself.
running out
Remember,
of time
we said,
now.
yeah, I don't want to run out of time. So can I just say what
Okay.
a couple of little points, okay, in reference to each sign real quick, and then we'll get to your sign.
That's
This
okay.
way, everybody
Yeah, we got
gets their
25
try.
minutes
Okay,
left,
I
so,
know because
all
we
right.
have other things too.
right.
But anyway, that's why I'm going to be quick. Okay, in reference to 2019. Now, this is your sun or your rising sign, and your rising sign has to do with what time you were born. But if you know your rising sign, you should be reading your rising sign first and then your sun sign if you read your horoscope, and then put the two together. A lot of people are unaware of that, but if you know your rising sign, read that first. Anyway, so Aries. All right, so we know that Uranus is leaving Aries, but career is big this year and finding your dream career. So you might also fall in love with a foreigner, just to let you know. Okay, that's for Aries. And Taurus, okay, Uranus in Taurus for 7 years, and that starts on March the 6th. And out of nowhere, you could fall head over heels in love, and that happens after May 5th. Big changes are happening for Tauruses, and that's what Uranus brings, big changes, very exciting. Gemini, lucky Jupiter in your sign all year, possible long-term relationship. Just make sure that he or she is the real thing, because Neptune can have some poor aspects for you, which can cause confusion. Cancer, a lot of house cleaning and purging going on. And if relationships are not working, it could end this year, especially around the time of the eclipse on January 21st. And today is a couple of days from there. Or when Mars makes its aspects on October 27th. You could get what you hope for around March 6th. Leo, exciting career opportunities. Don't be a workaholic, but be sure a new love is worthy of your precious time, because you won't be having a whole lot of time. You're going to be very busy this year, Leo, extremely busy. but it's good and it's fun. Virgo, a lot of home improvements or a new place to live, possibly buy a new piece of property. Take your creativity seriously, Virgos, because especially this year, because it can really pay off for you. It could be challenging in love and relationships, but I know a lot of Virgos that are artistic, and this is the year for them to really turn that into something that could make them some money. Libra, Mars is conjunct Uranus on February the 12th and could cause an argument in relationships, but after that things should go very smoothly, and a lot of spiritual learning for Libras this year, and it will really be key for you, and this is the time for your evolvement. Scorpio, marriage could be in your stars with Uranus in the house of marriage. So you may decide to revamp your career also, and money looks really good, and invest. Invest. That's for Scorpio. Sagittarius should be the happiest of all the signs this year with lucky Jupiter until 12/3. I'm right? I know. Make the most of this once in 12-year transit. January 6th, June 16th, and September 21st, important times that bring healing and your healing abilities to an all-time high.
Is that for him?
You got it, kiddo. Capricorn.
Is that for him?
Okay,
No,
that was for you. Did you like that? I mean, come on, the luckiest of all signs. What more do you want here? Okay,
I
Capricorn.
want the money she's throwing away.
Work will feel like fun, Capricorn, even though, you know, Capricorns are very hard workers, okay? But you will be holding the reins of authority. Now you have status, security, and good karma, and a restructuring of yourself. Spirituality at an all-time high. Aquarius, serenity for 2019. Inspiring friendships. Look for those inspiring friendships. They're going to be lucky for you. And you may even decide to move. Pisces, it's going to be a magical year for you. And but do some self-nurturing, and you may get involved with healing and other spiritual practices. Cash flow will be stable, and you will have career recognition. Okay, I went through all 12 signs, and I hope that helps.
I like
Okay,
it.
so I
It'll be a
did it
test
really
at the
quick.
end of the show.
Really quick. But anyway, so we got through that.
So now, you did the United
Yes.
States, you did the houses. Let's do Trump. I want to see what you came up with for Trump.
Okay, well, we can put up President Trump's chart. I mean, I got to tell you, the only reason that I brought his chart is because of what we have discussed before. Now let me put up his stars. Okay, now Donald Trump, you know, he has the moon that's transiting through his 10th house of his career situation right now. But the problem is that, you know, as creative as he is, and he is a very, very creative person, in his 5th house, if you look in the 5th house, you'll see a whole lineup of planets. Saturn and Pluto that we were talking about is going through there right now. And what's happening for him is that his creative flair that he has always had is kind of being restricted and held back right now. And one of the reasons is because what's happening, actually what's being brought to light, is anything to do with the foreign lands. And that's because Uranus is actually transiting through his house of foreign details. So all this stuff that comes up about the Russians and everything else, that just keeps on going on and on and on. And him, with the situation with the wall, can I tell you? I mean, now here I am again, I'm really putting myself, you could take down his chart now, Brian, thank you. But I'm really putting myself out there once again, but I'm going to say that somehow or another, I feel that he's going to win. And the reason that I feel that way is because of where Venus and Jupiter are in his 4th house of home. It's hard for him right now what he's dealing with, but I feel that they'll come to some kind of an agreement. It won't be exactly what he is exactly asking for, but there will be an agreement. But it's not going to be easy.
An agreement for what?
In reference, they're going to come to some sort of an agreement. I don't feel that it's going to be the amount of money that he's asking for, but there's going to be some sort of a barrier that's going to be placed there that would be satisfactory for his side and satisfactory for the Democrats. They're going to come to an agreement. They have no choice but to come to an agreement.
About the wall?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The, you know, personally, regarding Russia and the collusion and so forth, and so forth, you know, Edgar Cayce, you know, he was the original mystic. I mean, that's the most famous healer, trance medium ever. That he's the father of holistic.
Medium.
Yeah, he's the father of holistic medicine, really. You know, in our recent times.
Agreed.
And he came and he said, "The hope for the world will come from Russia." So, you know, maybe they had talked, you know, and said, listen, you know what, we really got to stop these wars, you know what I mean, type thing, and got to get the bad guys out. And and what's so terrible about that?
Well, that's what, you know, and I'm a little bit leery about going into this, but what I have felt intuitively from all of this also is that, you know, they have had private talks, I feel, but as you said, really beneficial.
Right.
So I don't believe, from his stars, I mean, I had followed Donald Trump's stars right from before he was president. And from his stars, he is having a hard time right now. But honestly, what I see happening is that he really does have the best interest here for the country, and I really do not believe that there is collusion and all of this, as they say, in that way.
Right. Well, you know, you got to remember that the media is owned by the bad guys. I mean, all the bad guys own all the big companies, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to turn any story any way they want to get whatever they want when they want it.
Which is something that we were discussing before the show.
Yes. Goes on Fox, comes right from the United Press International.
Right. So.
Which is the right hand of the devil.
Right, so, you know, you have to take anything you read like that or on the news, you know, with a grain of salt, truly.
And that's why I feel that something that's going to happen with the Uranus transit and with these other aspects that we're dealing with Pluto and Saturn, and the transformation will be that there will be other sources for us to receive our news that will be in something that is what we can't even imagine right now.
Well, I sure hope that comes to fruition. Maybe
that's
it'll
accurate.
Yeah, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know if you ever watched Jupiter Ascending, that movie, but this is, this guy, I must have watched that movie 20 times. Anyway, in there, they actually kind of watch any scene they want in our lives by setting the time and the date, and they can see exactly what's happening. You know what I mean? Maybe it'll be something like that.
Yes, I agree with you about something like that, because the technology is really going to be changing.
It is, oh yeah, for sure. And we see it more and more, that people are kind of, I saw a statistic the other day that more people are receiving their news from, you know, other media, social media, compared to traditional media, and I think that is that shift that's happening. And I have a feeling, but I have to mention that the upcoming eclipse has very strong alignments, and you know, Uranus is in opposition with the sun, you know, in square with the sun, you know, sun and moon, and I feel like that's going to shake up, you know, there's going to be a lot of sudden changes, like even on the personal level, if we see like shifts coming through or sudden changes, make sure you go with the flow and not battle that like with every eclipse.
Oh, I can guarantee you there's going to be a big shift, because it's already started for me today, that things that I see coming that are going to change dramatically. Because one of the things I've been, when I was knocked down in 2018, part of it was learning and experiencing the mysteries of God firsthand. And boy, I tell you what, it's been mind-bending, to say the least, right? To say the least. So, you know, I can guarantee you it's major changes.
Well, I have a few notes here in reference to the eclipse, and this is what I actually, this isn't exactly what I wrote in my column, but you can read my monthly column if you don't get the newspapers that anyway, it's on my website at hopehypnosis.com. You can read the special planetary aspects. But one of the things in reference to this full moon total lunar eclipse, and it's happening between the 20th and the 21st, is actually when it's happening that you're referring to, and today is the 18th. And any full moon or new moon, any eclipse, the effects are 3 days before, the actual day of, and 3 days after. So that's why you're feeling this today.
Yeah. And you know what, I've always noticed it seems stronger ahead of time, and then it peaks, and then it kind of
right, and then it dwindles down. You're right. Now another won't be seen until May of 2021. Okay, but I wrote a couple of notes here. It gives us supercharged energy and the courage and willingness to go that extra mile. And the sun falls smack on the degree that the sun is always on January 20th for the presidential inaugurations. And the lunar eclipse is exactly on the midheaven when set for Washington, D.C. And there's a reason that I wrote about that I wrote these notes down. And the effect is for months, even years to come, because it's an eclipse. When we're dealing with an eclipse instead of just a full moon or a new moon, when we're dealing with that, the effects can last on and on and on and on. And the reason that I brought this up about it being smack on where in the chart for the United States of America is because of what's happening right now. And you know, there's another thing that I just wanted to mention, and then I'll shut up, okay? But it's just a couple of things that I think are important. I know I've been talking a lot, I'm sorry, but I have so many things
that are,
yeah, okay. Yeah. Saturn and Pluto conjunction really started in January 2018, and it's continuing through December 2021, peaking from December 2019 through January 2020. Now, the last time that we experienced this was in 1914, which was World War I breaking out, and 1947, World War II ended. And this is bringing a dismantling of old presumptions, including in reference to Europe. If you think about what's going on in Europe right now, right? And what you were saying before is about how Saturn builds structure and then Pluto deconstructs it, and then the reconfiguring of all the ingredients so that everything will be better and serve the greater good for the whole. And
another chill test.
Yeah, so that's what there.
It's death and rebirth. It's
yes,
death and
this
rebirth
is what's going
of the
on.
government structure and of the balancing of the good and the bad, to have a justice, the scales of justice, and the balance. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that, and I wanted to add to that in terms of what's going on internally for a lot of us, because it's a lunar eclipse, so it's about what goes on internally in the mind, which I wanted to honor, was the fact that from the summer of 2016, where we had the same Leo-Aquarius opposition, so Leo is about you know, the things we love and the labor of love, and Aquarius is about how, you know, the general community. So this whole theme is about how, when we speak our truth, we show up in the greater collective. And I think as light workers specifically, a lot of us have seen you know, our own strengths grow and coming further and further into our truth. And as such, how that affects the greater consciousness going from 3D to 5D. And that is that, and at this point in time, what's happening is, with Uranus in the mix, it is going to take away everything that does not serve us anymore. And it's going to shift that, whether we want it or not.
And it happens very suddenly.
Yes.
That's what Uranus is.
That sudden change is the thing that...
Big, sudden change.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is just something I wanted to throw it out there in case that anyone's feeling that surge in energy, that honor that and go with the change, because in the end, you come out of it a rising phoenix. You know, that's where we're going. So...
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
Beautifully.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep, death and rebirth.
Anything on Trump?
no, I think
you
she covered
jump
it
on
all.
the bandwagon with that?
Well, you know, she was right before, and I think you're right. I think we're going to come out ahead, and maybe he will be reelected. You know, because, you know, I always thought he was an arrogant, but then I thought later, well, maybe that's what we
What would make you
need.
think that?
Well, because, you know, I always thought that. So, but maybe that's what the country needs, you know.
What needed a swift kick in to get in the right
Exactly.
direction. You know, but even with that,
You
come
know.
on.
Well, I think you did a great job with that. Thanks for doing all that work, because it's
welcome.
interesting, you know,
You're
very
welcome.
interesting.
It's my pleasure.
And, you know, just from my own experiences that I've been going through, everything that you said in there with the chart resonates so strongly with what I know is happening otherwise.
Because you have Saturn and Pluto, like we discussed earlier, on the show too,
Yeah.
in your 12th house. And realize those are going to go over your rising sign, which is extremely significant.
So what does that mean exactly?
When it goes over your rising sign is really when you feel the tremendous change. It's preparing you right now.
Oh, wow. Well, that's
preparing
oh
you.
boy. Okay. Well, that's some Leo. So I guess
Yeah.
that's coming up towards summer.
It's preparing you. No, actually, it's ready to go over your rising sign. This has nothing to do with your sun sign. It's in your 12th house of your rise, and that's right before your rising sign. And when it enters into, and I love the timing of it, because when it enters, especially Saturn, when it enters into your first house, that's when the house of you personally is going to be completely empowered.
Yay!
So there.
You know
I mean,
what,
it's
we're
really
gonna have
good.
to- you're
I'm
gonna have to
telling
do
you.
a full chart
I
for
have
me,
to
'cause we
sit
had
down
like
with
5
you and
minutes,
do.
you
I
know.
know. I
Seems like a
really
win-win for
want
you.
to.
Oh yeah, it
I
does.
really want
yeah.
to.
Oh, I want to too. And we've been talking about
That's just
getting
because you're a
together
girl.
for lunch and all that. And I'll have to come up there now that I have wheels again. But I still have to get a car.
We could meet halfway. We could meet halfway.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
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 I could come too.
Yeah, you could.
I got a whole other country jersey. You know. Anyway, we are coming close to the end of our time, so let's have a last minute.
Okay, the final take, I feel like, since we're talking so much about the energies of 2019, what I wanted to really add is the numerology aspect. 2018 was a very hard year for a lot of us because it was the number 11 energy of the spiritual teacher, and it was learning the karmic lessons. And now that we've learned those lessons and it's behind us, 2019, which is the energy of 3, the energy of rebirth, growth, and more of coordination, communication. It's more of that Jupiterian energy. And to add to that, Jupiter went into Sagittarius, which is expansion and right. So I feel like the whole energy of this year feels a little more lighter, and definitely numerologically. So I feel like, you know, I just wanted to leave the audience with that hope, you know, that it's going to be a lighter year.
Well, I love that you mentioned me. That was good. Okay.
No, I mean, you know, there's hope. There's great hope.
There's always hope.
Okay, we got 3 minutes, man.
That's the name of my business, Hope Hypnosis, okay? Because there's always hope. But I have to agree with you. And, you know, you could feel a lightness after the end of 2018 when we got into 2019. And the biggest thing that I would like to leave everyone with is that this year, 2019, is the year to take back your own power and to release, seriously release, and purge anything that's negative in your life, because you need to get ready for 2020, because we're going to have some super duper wonderful energetic things that are going to be happening then. But yes.
Oh, wow, that sounds like good.
All right, okay.
Sounds good.
Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up here tonight, out in the audience. And our boy in the booth, Brian back there. Our sponsors, Antonio's Pork Store in Tottenville for our cuisine this evening, and Aardvark Pest Control in Great Kills. And the lovely ladies here.
Yes.
Mary, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Mehernaz, welcome
Thank
all
you
the time.
for having me.
And sis, nice to have you back.
Thank
At least
you,
I don't
dear.
have to keep on opening up the show anymore. You know?
Well, we do have an exciting show next month already planned out, and we're going to be talking about near-death experiences, right?
Well, we're going to have both the retired police officers. One's a medical intuitive. The other one came into his gifts, as far as I know, after 9/11. He was getting visitations from fellow officers and fire department people that passed away and things like that. The spirit was coming to him. And it ought to be interesting. He's been on regular TV shows about it, and it should be really interesting with the two of them on
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah. So that's
looking
what we have to
forward to
look
seeing
forward to that. And but anyway, I very much enjoyed talking about what's coming up this year. We actually did that a few years in a row until everything happened last
Until
year.
Mary went on hiatus.
Yeah, Mary went on hiatus.
Anyway, I'm back.
Contact Cha-Cha lessons get you every time, man.
I'm back.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's all get ready to say goodbye to everyone. It's a kumbaya moment. Everybody do this.
Bye, everybody. See you next month.
Music,
Bye-bye.
maestro.
Yes, music.
Happy 2019.
Yes.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy
That's
New Year.
right.
Now he's telling us to keep on
Beautiful.
going. So keep on waving two hands.
Okay. We should make a wave.
Happy New Year too.
I'll tell you, it feels like the Mickey Mouse Club here.
You know, sometimes the
one.
clocks just get messed
All right,
up.
music, let's go. Thank you.